Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I am so excited to just get this episode started. It has been such an interesting few weeks, okay? And so I am looking forward to these daily uploads. Yes, you heard that right. It's going to be daily. Check me out, guys. I just can't wait to get this started. So this episode, as we dive into what self-care is, as you all may know, I own QMEHealth.club. That is a self-development mentorship program where I am outreaching to advocate. What was all that big wordplay? Oh my God, yuck. I'm advocating for people to work on themselves, taking a new perspective, a new look at life. Everyone's talking about health, wellness, taking care of you, soft era, soft girl life, hard wig, soft life. We get it. We all want to have some sort of peace, enjoyment. I hear it. I'm not mad at it. We're stressed above our heads. The government is shut down. EBT is no longer a thing. What are we talking about? It's 2025. Holiday season is coming up. We just want to put together our Christmas list. I don't want to have to be worried about if I'm going to get paid. That's just not how we want to end the year, Donald. Mr. President, please send some stimmies, send money, send something, send help. Help needs to be sent now. In the meantime, as we wait for our help, we are going to talk about self-care in a new way, and we're going to break down some words. And so I just want to slow things down as we're in this fast-paced world where if I didn't get 1 million views, I don't even have 1,000 views, so why should anyone listen to me, right? Girl, bye. You don't want to listen to someone who's putting time and effort, but you'll tell your whole life to a stranger. It's okay, guys. Let's just uplift and relax about, it's just words. You ain't feeling it, turn it off. You get it? You got it? Good. So, as we get into this Secretly Sick series, I want to slow it down. I'm always going to talk about the big four. And this episode, we are going to talk about the word mistrust. Mistrust plays out in so many areas, and if you've had mistrust for a long period of time, extensive periods of times, of course we all know it affects our ways of interaction, ways of being, and I want to inspire that if you already are in therapy, if you already have a therapist, if you already have gone the medication ways where you've sat down with qualified, certified doctors and got evaluated, please remain on that path. I think those paths are important because a lot of us are finding out that even though we may have, family or friends or children or degrees, whatever it may be that you feel like at first felt really good to accomplish, it did not eliminate the feelings of loneliness, sadness, the dark things that we went through continues to pop up in our current timelines today. And I just want to be another space. That is what QMEHealth.club is all about. Creating a space to help people get back grounded. Sometimes we can get into a space where things are really good and we go through life, something triggers us, and all of a sudden it could be an hour, it could be a day, a couple of days, couple of weeks. I have been in spaces where something has triggered me and I am now months past the event. Do you hear me? I am months past the event. But if you ask me about that event, I can tell you it like it was yesterday. And understanding that that is trauma. 2025, baby, that's trauma for your mama. It's like, I'm not a rapper, but I do like to rhyme. But that is what we acknowledge today as trauma. And so I just want to offer a mind space, my services are simple. So I like to write. I like to sit down and take time. I mean, some people that's really easy to do. It could be really easy to do if you have had any childhood or long-term experiences where you have been by yourself or alone. And sometimes that is a really good space, depending on what your situation is. So let's just slow it down and give a real life example about if you were a child and you had domestic violence in your home could have been very loud, very noisy. And so when you finally got space, whether you made that space, you could be hiding, you could be running away, whatever option that you took, that first moment of space by yourself can sometimes feel very empowering. On the opposite side, say you, same environment, grew up in domestic violence, and it was always loud, there was always things going on, arguments all the time, it was always intense. It may feel very comforting to be in spaces where that energy is intense. So you may not be arguing all the time, but you may feel or find yourself in situations where they're intense and you almost need it. And this experience can feel very empowering as well, because finally you are controlling what the intensity is versus your parents kind of directing that intensity for us. And so that experience, whether it was a few months, a few years, a few decades, these prime us, it primes our minds to have an expectation, a level of this is what I can handle, this is what I cannot handle. And as we're young, now we are grown up, right? Or maybe it was happening in our teen years, but now we're young adults. We might have gotten a job, or we got a little bit of money, or we were able to get into a relationship and share space. And so you get that first venturing out of the real world. IRL. I love it. I love it here. I totally understand, kids today, I want to be grown. I remember wanting that experience. And now, as a young adult, I'm an auntie. I'm in the 30s, so I'm an auntie. I'll consider that. When I hear a young man or a young woman say, I can't wait to be grown, that helps me pause and say, there must be a lot of heavy things going on with you, that either you are already experiencing being an adult, or you are looking forward to making choices for yourself. And either of those positions, they're both hard, but I just always offer perspectives, different ways people can kind of experience the same thing. And so as we continue on in this series, because Secretly Sick is touching on you're going through life now, we're talking about the present day, where you have survived those hardships and those experiences, and now you're connecting with new people or existing people in ways that no longer serve you. And that statement is so used, and so I'll what does serve you mean? Like, if I have a job, that serves me, right? I'm paying my bills. I'm able to buy some things that I want. I can live the place, that I want. How does that not serve me? Or you can say, well, I don't have financial troubles. I don't have relationship troubles. I am married. I have my children. We have great jobs. Or, I don't have to work. Whatever the situation is. So how could you say that doesn't serve me? Well, Secretly Sick touches on the experience of having those things that on paper look great. You might have had those goals when you were younger, and so when you finally check those off, you were waiting for the internal celebration moment of, I made it. So like these things that burdened me, weighed me down, that motivated me to even get here? Why are these heavy feelings still here? Like, why am I even thinking about this? I am good. I am beyond good. I'm serving myself in ways that others clearly can't. So what's wrong with me? If you have a moment like that, I'm so glad you're listening, because you're not alone. Many of us are experiencing that. And these are the, you'll hear buzzwords like trauma or toxic. You'll hear labels like narcissist or bipolar. You'll hear all these terms that are trying to describe a personal experience of, hey, I'm still dealing with stuff that I walked away from, survived from, and I don't know how to make it stop. Now let's let's dig into what we define. I'm going to Google it. Hold on. Shame on me. I should have had this prepped. So the definition of mistrust is simply to be suspicious of, have no confidence in. And that seems like a simple, clear-cut term. And I want to highlight what mistrust may be in the big four. And so the big four, you know that we talk about family, friends, your fiery love life, and the for you, which is simply self-development. And so these are some similar pinpoint areas that you can, as you listen on, as you take into what I'm talking about, see which one hits you, or we can say triggers you, kind of brings up a experience, an emotion, and see where you can tailor it to fit yourself. Because I know that as much as I want to serve it up for you and fix it like Ayana fixed my life, I just can't. And I can only be a person to give encouragement, to share love. And so if any of these topics, as I continue on, you feel discouraged, girl, take a break. I don't want to beat you up. I want to open up a new area where you may have skipped over, you might not have considered it, and take it in as you can. So when we speak of mistrust, I wanted to introduce that childhood to adulthood, to having things that you like and still being dissatisfied, because in the grand scheme, most of us do have a understanding of that. We're not going to be happy all the time. Life isn't going to be perfect. No one's perfect. These are the most common comebacks to, when something is difficult or tough, people say, all right, I get it, but gird your boots, put on the big girl sexy panties, and push through it. There's greatness to pushing through it, but what I've discovered from my own personal experience, if I keep on pushing through it without acknowledging what's going on, why I'm moving that way, why I feel this needs to be, I'm going to keep experiencing these same main issues, regardless of if the people change. You hear? Even if I break up with him and find someone new, if I don't adjust how I'm reacting or looking at something, I'm going to pick another guy who looks even sexier, better, or he may make me feel more protected than the previous one. But if I don't confront the real issue, 1 year down the line, we're arguing about the same things. And so you can see it in relationship. How about your work, where you're getting your money? You may find yourself continually picking places that are familiar for you to finagle around in. So yes, you're able to stay there for 5 years, but you've mastered how to not be seen. And because you have that skill, you've thrown away the connection of meeting or learning from people who are maybe in different positions, higher positions, or same position. You miss out growing together. You miss out having your ideas being heard based on your skills and maybe solving really big problems because you're so busy worrying about your finagling skills. If you don't see it in your work, how about your for you? For you is self-development. Self-development is the closest way that I can put to accountability. I was just so tired of hearing accountability. What does that even mean? Accountability, I think of an accountant, and you have to just make sure, like, if we paid $100 to Sally, on my records, it should show that I paid $100 to Sally. So accountability to me is like math, and it should add up. And so when I hear accountability being used on people, knowing that we have these ranges of emotions, I find it really hard. It was so hard to grasp. Okay, I'll share a bit more of a backstory, a back note about me. So before QME Health became development mentorship, it was a health program, and so I really enjoyed working out. I had a personal life change where, I mean, my diet, I got a personal trainer, all the stuff where you're supposed to, okay, if you do this it will work. And guess what, baby, I sure did lose all that weight. And so, as excited as I was when I tried to translate this progression, meaning, okay, girl, if you do this too, boom, boom, bang, bang. Once I made that program and I started working with girls and they were putting the money in and doing the investment, to see them not get the results, oh my gosh, the faith that I had to exhibit to keep on going, because I said, girl, like, I don't know. The best I could say was, your body's not ready. And so, digging deeper into, well, what helped me? What made me? I'm not anyone special. I bleed just like you. If I get cut, I'm going to be bleeding blood. Do I believe there's some people who don't bleed blood? That was like such a tongue twister. I absolutely do. But that's not today's episode. So, learning from just trying to work out and seeing that I can have a client who I know we might have worked together, we might have, just we're turn up friends, whatever it is, we have some extended time to have built a relationship. And so to see some of my clients come in, in the beginning so excited and so ready, and then to see them kind of struggle and see them struggle based on, what's going on in their life. So if something happened with family or something happened in their relationship, you can see it. You can see your client kind of slow down, or their mindset get, shifted, and they're speaking different. And so it was a learning experience, to say the least. I commended every one of my clients for even trying. Change is difficult, and it's much easier to just kind of stand still and let things happen. And so that was years ago, and some of my clients are doing really well now. Some of my clients, it just wasn't their time, and maybe down the line they'll find someone else or find someone who does fit them, and they will reach whatever goal they have. So I'm not saying they'll, any of them right, any of them, they all have the power and the will to either stick with me, or stick with the goal, or to stick with finding someone to help them reach it. Mistrust is going to differ depending on who the person is. And that is comforting to know that I don't have to define mistrust as this one label. I need to define what mistrust is to me. And that is a stage which is so comforting. I think that's why it's such an explosion of mental health and people really taking time to look into it or to take care of it, because we have spent so much time trying to fit in one defined box. And I want to end this episode because it's so hard to tie in any sort of belief. I think we are in this fact type of reality. And the reality is for me that if you haven't read the Bible for yourself, I cannot teach it for you. You definitely have to make the dive or the read to see what it means for you. The message for God is comforting because there are just amounts of pain, levels of pain, and mistrust is perfect because growing up, right, will start from the theory of conception. How, conception for me is not, mom and dad got together, boom, boom, you were conceived. Conception for me is your childhood, your environment. It was your tank. It was what you were primed for. It was what you were tailored to endure. If you stay in that tank and you play out what you were kind of prepped to be, that's a life. And no one is going to shake you out of that. Is that mistrust is not a bad thing. It's a natural warning sign of our body and our system. And our body is letting us know that we need more information or we need more clarification, because there should be understanding here, but I'm getting a warning sign. So I'm going to follow up. I'm going to ask additional. I'm going to get additional clarification. I want more information so that the same level of trust that you want me to have, I can exhibit that. And it becomes difficult, mistrust becomes difficult when people don't want to give the other clarification or give the other more information. And mistrust can, when it's not handled, can lead into very serious things that are more difficult than trying to unpack the mistrust in the beginning. Before I do, I want to make this clarity statement that these episodes, this series for Secretly Sick, I am promoting to be brave enough to build the courage to look at what these things are doing, not only in your life, but to you. And how, because these things are happening to you, even if your character once was this, full of integrity, you're full of honesty, you're full of dignity, over time, certain things that are not handled, it will grind you down. It will put you to sleep. And so these episodes are to encourage people who are, it's on your mind, you're thinking about it, you're curious about it, and you may not have the support, the space, meaning you may be in therapy, you may have a group system, you may have an existing support system that you're currently in, and there's still things that you're battling with. And I am saying that you're always going to have that battle, and I want to encourage people to strengthen it so that it doesn't feel like the battle that you're fighting is taking away the joy and the peace that we are having or striving to have in our life. So when I talk about mistrust, I want to just talk about how mistrust can spill out into these 4 areas of our lives and what can be done, what can be suggested to make improvement in this. And so when you think about mistrust in family can be so simple. It can be from a parent not following through. It could be from a sibling. It could be from if you want to talk about your personal, your current family right now, your partner, your husband, your wife, whoever you are with in your agreement. Mistrust simply happens when we communicate it, both of us, we set the standard, and either it does not go as planned, or when you set the standard, someone was in suspicion. And in that suspicion, there was no space for that person, the partner, to address it to get additional clarification. Maybe you have had, let's take it a step further, you might have had the option to address it according to your ways. I brought it up to them and they said this. And now your mind has spent the last few hours, days, weeks analyzing on, well, how come they didn't talk about this? Or I can find all the errors in ABC, and you go on your trail. I understand. Both of these scenarios sounding different are still showing the same issue. And the issue is, when you have mistrust, it is not really an issue that the mistrust is there. The issue becomes when a party does not have the option to get the clarification needed. And when that goes on for a week, a month, the 5 years, the 20 years you've been involved, there is a new pattern that, regardless of what you guys are speaking about, your internal patterns have built up ways you're searching for it, you're looking out for it. That's why they use the hype words, hyper vigilant. You are always alerted. You feel like you can't, you're so tense, you're always on edge. The reason for those things are because of sweeping elephants under the room. See how we can see mistrust being shown in friendships. Friendships can, same scenario. Friendships are agreements where both people are agreeing to participate, to be vulnerable about. It's an agreement to support each other, and anytime your friendship group, a friendship in general, has a moment where someone can't get clarification, it brings the next level of mistrust, which is, now because I know, I love that person, I love that friend, but we were supposed to go on that trip out of the country. We dodged around for 2 months, and then she booked the trip out of the country and went with 2 other girls. And I love her very much, but we never got to talk about it. We just skipped past it, and it's been 6 months now, and it's just reminding me of how she did the same thing to me in high school when she went and signed up for cheerleading, even though she said she didn't like it. It just triggers these moments. Say you are in your relationship, your fiery love life. It is cuffing season, okay? The beautiful leaves are changing, so it's nice, scenic drives. But you can't even enjoy it because you're falling out with all the boos you have. Or maybe you're just dating one boo and your boo is thinking that you're dating 5 boos. And whatever your situation is, mistrust is so easily misplaced in relationships, especially new ones, because there is a higher expectation of honesty. And in that expectation of honesty, there is raised levels of shame and insecurity and doubt, because now you want to present your perfect package. You want to show yourself as the best fit for this person. But in the doing of that, you may hide certain things about your life, and life will force it to come out. And so not only are you guys trying to build in this new relationship, this fiery love that you feel, but here comes this mistrust. And if we sweep it under the rug, we don't give each other space to address it, of course you're going to be able to move past it, because the love life, ooh, things are so hot and spicy. It's your partner, you're attracted. It's just a different energy of strength. You can put your denial blinders on because the intensity of this person, finally, it's not a family or a job or people that you have to deal with because you have to participate in society. You got to hold your weight. You can't just be doing nothing. And so you meet a partner that just seems to get you. You guys click. You can talk for hours. You can be in each other's skin for days, and you're not annoyed like you normally get annoyed when you deal with your family. Come on. We all understand why it is so fun to be delulu. But delulu is dangerous. I'm going to bring it closer. Delulu is absolutely dangerous. And so mistrust together with delulu is a combination for disaster. We've got, it's just disaster. And lastly, mistrust in self. Everyone always is talking about how, oh my gosh, yes, I know I'm my worst. I'm my own enemy. I self-sabotage. Oh my gosh, I just want to stop self-sabotaging. What does that mean? Then they'll say, oh, it's just the partners, I'm just so attracted to bad boys. Okay. That doesn't tell me anything. Are you getting with bad boys? Well, clearly, you can maintain a relationship with a bad boy because you've identified all these ways in which you know that it's toxic. But if that is your past history, you're actually really qualified to maintain that bad boy who's toxic. So I want to bring a new perspective for self-development on how can mistrust be played out in our own lives. And so when we think back onto the spiel, is it spiel or is it a spiel? One day I'll figure it out. I'll let you guys know when I got the right word. But once you see that in some of our lives, mistrust was a core issue and reoccurrence in some of our households. And so we were not only primed, but our bodies developed skills to see those signs of suspicion, see those signs where you are uncertain, and you'll be able to identify, this person is not safe. And because we did it when we were younger, and it makes sense, we are supposed to depend on these people. When we think about, say, I want to speak to the people who may not have run away or didn't find another place to, stay, meaning like they went to their grandmother or a aunt or uncle raised them. Like, if those were not the options and you had to remain in the home, you definitely develop not only how to exist in that energy of mistrust, but as you wanted to protect yourself, you developed a system to identify people who reminded you of those people, those mistrusting, heavy energy that you're experiencing. You identified those people and you learn not to open yourself up like you may not have opened yourself up at your home. And so over time, as you learn not to get close to certain people, you didn't necessarily recognize that you're also letting people who are like that in. So it feels like you're cutting those people out at first, right? Oh, I don't deal with them because they give me that feeling. You'll get that feeling of suspicious. People say it was my gut. I feel it in my body. It's literally a feeling. It's the energy. I support all those words because they describe a real experience of, I just met this person and yet I'm feeling like this is like home. And so as you were blocking out the people who you felt like were suspicious, certain behaviors that you might have thought, this is going to be like home. It's not until time has passed, maybe a relationship, maybe normally a dating experience is when it happens. And you'll see that, oh my gosh, this person is actually just like not the offender who exhibited the mistrust in my home, but this person is exhibiting the patterns of the other partner. And so now, let me go back because I want to be clear. We get so caught up in our adult lives, in our early childhood, seeing the problem as one-sided. And because our parents were the people who we were supposed to depend and rely on, it is easier to not see fault in the parent who stays or the caretaker who stays. And so I'm glad I added that clarification because I don't believe in one fault blame. I am a person who believes it takes two to tango at all times. And so in the example of mistrust being developed or experienced in early childhood, when you have that experience of mistrust and you close down and you have whatever, expression of that emotion plus that energy, whatever you choose to do, we get so consumed and okay, we got to make sure not to get anyone like that. I don't want to deal with anyone who acts like that. And we don't see the patterns, the relationship, the correlation of how the other person who is complaining about this, oh my gosh, I can't believe this family member's doing this. Oh my gosh, if it's the friendship, I can't believe this, my friends, they're always doing this. We don't see the connection of how we let that person in. So self-sabotage, aka mistrust in self, can be played out when you feel like you have done all of the efforts that you can to keep harm out of your life. And I'm not talking about the harm like, being killed or, walking down dark alleys, the harm where people say don't walk into the danger. These are the harms that are personal and private to us. These are the harms that some of us may have expressed and some of us may have never told anyone. And I am not saying there is a right way to handle either of them. I think there is a time to speak on something. I think there is a time to no longer speak on things. And there's a stage for it. I think there's an appropriate stage for it. And to each his own, because some people in life have the ability to express their anger or express their feelings. They may be able to express all the time. And those people are constantly looking for how to not express as much. They are looking for ways to control what they express. And then there are people who have had no options to express, and so they are very internalized. And so you will think that people who are very internalized are super quiet, they don't talk, they don't post. That is never the case. People can be very internalized and be outgoing. They can be the people who, You know, they easily connect. They are people who that you love to be around them. They're a good time. They are full of energy, and you may have no idea of their real feelings because they are actually never expressing. They're always, you know, so busy keeping the group flowing about that they are expressed. And that's another episode for another time, because as I'm saying the sentence, as I'm saying that example, I'm like, the danger on that side, right? Everyone has areas to improve in. If you are that go-to, you always have, you know, keeping the group together, you better make sure you have people who support you for real. Meaning you need to be with people who are also the group gatherers and the group keeping glue together type of people, because the type of support that you guys need is very different from the support that you provide for the people in your groups. And so I'm going to leave that there. And I've said such a mouthful about mistrust. And mistrust can so easily take over our lives. It can take over our minds. It can take over our perspective and how we see, how we react. It affects our responses. And that is initially and overall doing what? Taking away our peace and joy. And I'll be damned. So I'm going to end this video because I am a believer. I encourage all to read the Bible for yourself. It's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. My message is to share love, that these experiences are so common and so destructive, and it just makes me think that God was serious. I mean, what type of energy takes all your power and consumes you like that? It's given devil to me. So I'm just going to remind everyone of the free message that God said he's still free 99. He says that he still loves us and wants to have relationship with us. It's a personal journey. It's something you do on your personal time. And so as you do the work, meaning spend some time with him, prayer is a real thing so that you can open up your mind, see new ways and see new options. And these are the ways that you are able to do it, by bringing in your real life issues. If you're dealing with mistrust, go bring it to God. Ask how you can, not for the other person. God, please help me show how this person is being so mistrusting so that he can change their ways. That has nothing to do with self-development. Self-development is, God, please help me. I am struggling with mistrust. I know I came to you because I said I wanted relationships. I feel like I have done the work in the past 6 months, 1 year, whatever it is, to address my anxiety, my anxiousness towards relationships. Is there a new way to approach this? After that prayer, you have to give time to let it play out in your life. You might find an article that you come by on and you're scrolling on your time feed, that just what you prayed for, you're trying to figure out if there's a new way to release some of that anxiety. And now you see this article that says two easy ways to calm down from, you get me? Or maybe you get a phone call from your friend who you haven't had a conversation with in a long time. You guys catch up, and during that catch up, she speaks on something that you just prayed for. In that prayer, you just wanted to find out how to lower your anxiety, and your friend that you haven't spoken to in a long time hits it right on the nail. She doesn't even know. Come on, be encouraged, stay motivated, that we are all just lacking love. If you ask me, we're heartless out here. And the devil wants us to be like that. And he don't really have the power. God is greater. Please check out the message for yourself. I want to sell it to you so bad, but I know I can't. So I'm just going to shut my mouth. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your host, Chelsea T. on our Secretly Sick series as we chopped it up about mistrust. If you found any of this information helpful, go check it out on YouTube. I try to do visuals along with this podcast. The new space is on the way, I hope. But you know what? If it doesn't come in the time frame that I plan, it is what it is. So I'm going to continue to take care. And I'm going to advise you to do the same. So please take care in the meantime and in between time. Until the next one. Bye.